All right. Today is Friday, December 7th, 2018, and this is the Kubernetes CSI implementation meeting. Let's jump right into our 113 tasks. We're cutting all the official sidecars. Looks like external snapshotter is done. Thank you, Xing. External attacher and external provisioner are almost done. The only thing remaining is we need to push new container images with the official tags. Is this something, Luis, you can help with?
Yeah, that takes just a second. Do you want access to push? Also, I can give you access if you create a Quay account.
I guess. Would it push by using the build? What is it? The
Travis
build.
Travis it pushes either master, which is canary, or the branch, which is 1.0-canary. So only the releases are done by hand.
Okay.
Yeah, go for it.
Sure. But maybe for this one, if you can take care of this quickly, that would be great.
Which one do you want me to do?
External attacher and external provisioner.
I can do that 1.01 for each, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you got it.
Great.
You got it.
Follow up on the external snapshotter, Xing. The release notes look great on your 101 release. Could you also go back and update the release notes for the 0.4 release? That way, if anybody wants to be compatible with an older version of Kubernetes or whatever, it becomes easy to understand which one they should pick.
Yeah, sure.
Maybe include what version of Kubernetes they work well with or something like that, if there is such a requirement.
Yeah, I think that's important, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Sure, no problem.
Oh, I guess for our external attachers and provisioners and all of that, we need to also probably mention the minimum version of Kubernetes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you take a note to do that?
Yeah, let's do that for all repos. Release notes should mention minimum.
I think there's a section where we're keeping all the questions that should be answered by the release notes.
Oh.
I'll find it and move it there.
Okay, sure. All right. Next is node driver registrar and cluster driver registrar.
All right, the cluster driver registrar is tested. Did you guys able to see my emails on that?
Yeah, we saw them. They're very comprehensive. Thank you.
No problem. So cluster is all set. Node I have not touched. Actually, let me start over. Cluster is tested. It's tagged with RC1. I have not done a official release of 1.0 for that, and I have not pushed the official tagged container either.
Okay. Yeah, so the node driver registrar, the RC has been tested.
Okay.
So I think that is ready to be released officially.
Okay. Driver.
And I think based on your testing for cluster driver registrar, I think we can release the official version as well.
Okay. So, and cluster. So these are not just am I pushing the official containers, but I'm also doing releases for them, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, I will take care of it.
Cool. And you can follow the format that we've been doing for the other sidecar containers too for the release notes.
Which one exactly?
You can take a look at external provisioner for an example.
Just scroll up at the top of this document. There's a set of questions that we added for the release notes. Just make sure each one of those questions is answered.
Yeah, but I think it would be also good if like each.
Oh, the consistency in the formatting?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you got it. I can do that. I just copy it and paste it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Quick question for the split up of the registrar. Are the E2E tests going to be updated? Are we doing this for this release, or are we going to update all the tests and the documentation in 114?
I don't think there's anything blocking us from doing it. Might as well.
Okay. I just want to make sure because I want to make sure where to point to when I update some of this stuff.
I guess, I mean, we can update the tests after we've cut. Oh, we have to update the tests after we've cut all the official images.
Right.
Okay, so just wait for 1.0 of that image, of those two images to be stable, and then we'll update everything else that depends on that, on them.
That's correct.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You can go ahead and like start on the PRs if you want. You're handling the docs one, is that right?
Right now, what I want to do is create, because one of the suggestions I think you had mentioned is to create a like a shell script that builds what is it, host path, and document that part of it. So host path will, setting up host path obviously depends on the registrar. So I wanted to make sure I'm pointing to the right thing.
Yeah. We should have them pull from the official tags.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
You can, for like your testing purposes, you can just pull from the RCs for now.
Oh, okay.
And then once we actually cut them, then just easily switch them over.
Okay. All right. That makes sense. Thanks.
Just one thing on the node driver registrar repo itself. I sent out the email that the tags that were in there are kind of weird. You want me to go ahead and fix that? I didn't want to touch it. I didn't want to bother anyone. But
registrar repo tags. What do you mean the tags?
The node, if it's on my, let me look at my email again.
So I think when we split the repositories, like it copied over all the tags from the original driver registrar.
Okay.
Yes.
But at least when we look at if you go to tags, maybe we're looking at maybe I should display it.
Yeah, in GitHub it won't show it to you. It's in the problem is when you do like git describe on the repo itself.
Oh, interesting.
So anyway, I can fix that. That's pretty simple. But the thing is that I hope it doesn't bother the 100. If it does, I can just rename it 101.
Interesting.
I mean, I think you can explicitly go in and delete tags.
Yes.
So feel free to just delete specific tags and don't touch the 100 RC1 or RC2.
Okay. Yeah, I had to. In a way, it's kind of what I did with cluster. I cleaned it all up. So,
okay.
And
all right, go for it.
I made the master tag 1.1-alphas.0.
Okay.
Just following Kubernetes style.
1-1.
1.1. Sorry, 1.1.0-alpha.0. In other words, that Kubernetes, when they do a release branch, right?
Yeah,
they make master the next one, right?
Right.
So that's
so the git describe will return something sane.
Yes, exactly right. If not, it returns like 0.5 dash some huge number,
Okay. That seems reasonable.
Sure.
Okay.
All right. And lastly, I think we also need a release for liveness probe. Looks like Sergey has tested it, so it's working.
That's at 1.0. That doesn't need to be released again, right? Oh, unless Michelle, did you add the secret stuff?
Yeah, it was added. And did we actually cut an official 1.0 with it?
No, that was done probably before your changes.
Oh, then we need to cut a new one with my changes.
Okay.
And also one more thing, we need to add the secret logging to cluster driver registrar before we release it.
Oh, that's right. I have not done that. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, no problem. All right. So let's see. Let me look at liveness probe again. So, okay. So, oh, I see. There's a 1.0, but it doesn't have my secret change.
Yeah.
So we need to test the latest, I think. There's been 5 commits since 1.0. Oh, well, okay, really, just 1 commit. I see. Okay. So we need to end up testing, we need to test the head of liveness probe. I'll ask Sergey if he has time to do that.
Okay.
Okay. So we can't cut liveness probe yet. Cluster driver registrar needs to have the secret logging stuff go in. Is this something you can do, Luis?
Yeah, I got that, and I'll test it again, and then I'll release it.
Okay, awesome, thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Next is the actual secret logging stuff for 0.3. I believe Patrick's PR has merged.
Yeah, I can double check that.
Let's see this. Yes, it is merged. So now we need to do the same exercise again where we go through all the sidecars on the 0.03 or 4 branch and update all of those and then cut new ones for all of those.
Let's create subtasks and assign folks to it.
Yeah.
Gonna probably be after KubeCon.
Yeah, that's fine. It's not a huge rush, but let's start tracking the work.
PR merged. So we need to update all the sidecars and then release. So we got external snapshotter, external provisioner, external attacher, driver registrar, liveness probe. Is there a 0.3 of liveness probe? I only saw a 1.0.
I don't know.
Okay, I'll put a question mark there. Am I missing anything? Is this all our sidecars?
Snapshotter, provisioner, attacher, 2 driver registrars, and a liveness probe.
Oh, 0.3 only has
0.3 only has one. Yeah, that looks good to me.
Attacher, provisioner. Okay. Does anyone want to volunteer to do all of this? Or some subset of them?
I think that that's something I can do after KubeCon. But
Okay. I guess I'll put your name down for after KubeCon. If we want to actually try to do some things during KubeCon, maybe someone else can take a look.
I was thinking that external snapshot may not need that because we don't really log requests in external snapshotter. So,
oh, okay.
But it might be good just to incorporate the library just in case. I mean, if there's absolutely no logging, it doesn't make sense, but if there's any logging going on.
There's not logging, it's just we don't log secrets. I mean, the request, right? The only place that logs the secrets is the request. We removed that. So we don't have that in the code.
Okay.
And you don't log the responses either?
The responses are logged.
But the responses...
But it doesn't have, because at that time, Yang was the one who reviewed it. At that time, people were looking at this problem for other repos. So he suggests that we just remove it completely. So we didn't log it.
Fair enough.
Okay. All right, I noted that we don't need to do this for external snapshotter. So, but for everything else, we should do it.
Yep.
All right. Awesome. Next, the flaky tests. I think I was looking now, the tests are much less, well, okay, I didn't check 113. You checked 113 last time, right?
Yes, 113 was looking good. Take another look at it and get back to you.
All right, but we should still probably backport your fix to 113.
Yes, that's still on my to-do list.
Okay. Split up driver registrar into 2 repos. This is done. All right. All right, syncing.
Need to put a little thing in the README saying this repo is deprecated.
Oh, right. Okay.
So that's not, we can
Okay.
take a task for after KubeCon.
Let's, okay, I'll make a note that driver register is deprecated.
And most flaky tests are no longer volume tests.
Cool. All right.
Still some flakes though. So.
Yeah. Next is syncing the host path driver YAMLs. Vlad, do you have an update on this?
Vlad, you on mute?
Sorry, I was on mute and my phone went blank. Anyway, yeah, so that's what I was talking about earlier with the syncing. One of the things I'll be doing based on your suggestion, and I'm working on it, is creating a script to build host path, and then that will be considered the authoritative way of building host path, and then update the documentation around that. And that will be based on what we're doing today with the E2E test, and then the changes that is going to it's happening with the registrar binaries.
All right, awesome.
Yep, thank you.
Okay, next is Quay.io. I think Patrick has a PR out. We're just waiting for the official images to be cut. And then documentation. I guess we'll probably won't be able to do much on this until after KubeCon.
Yeah. This will be my holiday project.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, I mean, I can help out on documentation, but it'll definitely have to be after KubeCon.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Going back up to miscellaneous stuff. Let's see, Vlad, you had an item about the host path YAMLs? Or is this Patrick's thing?
Host path deployment. I think it might be some part of the same discussion we're having. It might have been put down by Patrick, though. I'm not sure. But basically, the last time we talked about this, which was Wednesday, we're trying to figure out what is the best place or the authoritative place that that we want to keep the YAMLs for host path, so that when we document it, it's pointing to one place, and when it's updated in one location.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's part of that same activity.
Okay, I guess the issue he's pointing out that is whenever we update the YAMLs, we also need to do a release of the host path driver, even if the host path driver itself didn't change.
I see.
Because we're pulling the host path YAMLs from a specific host path version.
So the way that I see it is the sidecar containers all should have all the YAML that is specific for that sidecar container. So specifically the RBAC rules should live in the sidecar repos.
Right.
Now the problem is that drivers depend on a bunch of different components being deployed on Kubernetes to operate.
Right.
Some of those components are the daemon set and the replica set, which say these are the sidecar containers that I want to use with my driver. That makes perfect sense to include in the driver repository.
Mm-hmm.
And the question is, how do you get the RBAC YAMLs along with the sidecar? Should I copy it, or what should I do? And I think the proposal, or the way I would like to see it done is leave the originals in the sidecar repos for the RBAC YAML.
Right.
And then ship each driver with a script that will basically deploy all the correct YAML files, which will point to the local YAML file for the YAMLs that are local to the driver, and then to the remote RBAC YAMLs for the files that are remote. And then as far as an end user is concerned, they just run this this script which contains all the YAML files.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly where I want to take this.
Yeah, I think while it's kind of odd to do a new release of the host path driver if only the sidecars are changing, like it kind of makes sense to version the sidecars with the driver, because those are the versions of the sidecars and the YAMLs that we have tested and validated.
Exactly.
So whenever the sidecar gets updated, we need to update the YAMLs and test it against this specific driver to make sure it still works.
It's like any product that you ship, the dependencies that you have are explicit, and if those dependencies change, you do a new release.
Yeah, and so in the documentation, the way we do it right now is exactly that. The reference is to a commit hash that points directly to a YAML that was snapshotted in Git. So I think that's what we're getting at too, is even in the script, we need to point, when we're pointing, for instance, to an RBAC, it has to be to a specific commit, whether it's release or tagged or whatever.
Yeah, it should always be pointing to a release. Like anytime you are pointing to another repo, always point to a official release tag.
Okay. Now, another question, something that came up, for instance, for the host path, if there's gonna be a script, do we want it to run with all of the supported features? For instance, CSI driver, CSI node info, etc.
I mean, we can make it fancier over time and have it like, have options passed in to enable and disable certain features. That would be cool.
Yeah, I would at least, considering those are still alpha, I would keep them out of the default script and make them optional.
Okay, that sounds good.
Different script for the alpha features.
Right. All right, that sounds awesome. Okay.
Cool.
Awesome.
This is semi-related to the last item in the miscellaneous topic. Maybe we can jump to that for sake of continuity.
Okay.
So David has proposed, we have documentation in CSI Kubernetes docs on how to use specific sidecar containers. The problem is that this kind of changes with every release. 0.3 releases, 0.4 releases versus 1.0 for each one of these sidecar containers is different. It's difficult to try and keep all the versioning information on the Kubernetes CSI docs because it's a very manual process and we miss it and we end up with incomplete documentation. So David's proposal is to move the how do I use this component documentation into the repo with the sidecar container. So we already have README files. Maybe we could add in a how to use that the README links to. And then the idea would be that how to use this thing would be versioned along with the code. So when we cut a 1.0, you have a 1.0 version of how to use that's compatible, and the same thing with 0.3. And then the Kubernetes CSI documentation can just point to the appropriate release branch and point to the documentation there and say, for 0.3, look at this. For 1.0, look at this.
I like that.
I think all of this is just basically pointing to let's minimize the number of duplicates and try to get towards single source of truth for everything.
Right.
Yeah, we already have documents for snapshot in the snapshot repo. Yeah, I think that's more convenient. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So I do have a question about that. For instance, for Snapshotter, the document for Snapshotter will be kind of additive to what the documentation for just plain host path.
And also, yeah, the provision, we need the provisioner first before we can use the Snapshotter. Yeah, so we do.
Right.
include. So we do have those. So the sidecar, the YAML files include the provisioner and host path. Yeah, because
So
otherwise you can't really use it without
right.
it.
The question I had is, where do we document that? We wouldn't necessarily document it under host path. We would document it under snapshotter. And so I guess we would point to, hey, I mean, it's kind of, you have to have some kind of duplicate documentation in that case, because you have to deploy the host path and then add the snapshotter piece.
Yeah, it looks like, so we do have, we have host path, external provisioner, and the snapshotter, the three of them. So
host path, external provisioner, and snapshotter. Host path, and the problem is they're all interdependent on each other.
So basically, when we give an example, right, in the snapshot repo, we have an example on how you use the snapshotter, right? So we do have to deploy them together.
Okay.
So that they're together in a stateful set. So then actually they can actually test it just from there.
Let me ask you a question. If you have a running host path and installation, is it a matter of just deploying the snapshotter as, or do you need to do anything different than what a normal host path?
So if you look at the example in the docs, right? So for that host path, we actually deploy that host path driver together with the node, with the driver registry. That's the node plugin. And then for the for snapshotter, external provisioner, they are all in the stateful set. Now our example in the snapshotter repo, then we just have them all in a stateful set.
I see.
So I think what we can do is in your external snapshotter documentation, basically mention that there is a dependency between external snapshotter and the external provisioner, and that they must be aligned. Otherwise, there will be issues, and then maybe create a table to say these are the versions that are basically support each other.
Yeah, sure.
That might be, it sucks. And then longer term, let's work to eliminate the dependency if we can.
Yeah.
Okay, we could figure it out.
Okay.
All right. Is there anything else that anyone wants to talk about? All right, awesome. Have a great weekend, guys, and hopefully we can see most of you will be at KubeCon next week.
Yes, see you guys next week.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Take care.
See you.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.